Good morning, evening. Hello everyone, how are you? I'm Lucky Number 7 and welcome to the Live Coders channel. We're here today with CSharpFritz. We'll get him over here in a second. You can't see him. Not yet. And I've also got him muted, which doesn't really help me. So, yes, we have our illustrious leader coming in, saying hi and having a chat about all the stuff. And the same sort of format that I had with Mary Jo, Michael and Jochen, Full Stack Live, when we had him out in. And we're on number 4. Yes, it's taken a little bit longer than I thought to get to this point, but things be happening in the world. And we have had masses and masses of stuff going on with this weekend being the Live Coders conference as well. We've got that out of the way, and we'll talk about that in a minute as well. So, without further ado, let me pop him in and let's say hello. Hello, my man. All good, all good. And I think I've got you on mute, which is obviously useful. You're back on. You're good.
Oh, okay. I can't just fake it anymore. I can actually be here. How's it going there, Andy? Good to see you.
Yeah, yes, as always. And we always have these like impromptu meetings, especially over the past couple of months with organising conferences and getting everything sorted for the last weekend.
Yes.
We're on conference number 3 now.
Yes.
as a team.
Mm-hmm.
So that was Live Coders Conference 1. Dev Around the Sun, and this weekend was Live Coders Conference 2. And
we're planning for TwitchCon EU, we're planning for TwitchCon NA, and we threw those plans promptly out the window.
Yes. And I did mention in a podcast last night that comes out in August, a one that you've been on as well. I'll talk about that in a second.
Okay.
That there may be even a 3. And we may even know when that... Yeah.
There might even be we've got ideas. There's ideas floating around, different things
There's plans.
We want to encourage. Yeah.
So, let's get started and start from not quite the beginning, because you're I'm not saying you're getting on in life, but that would actually take quite a lot of the show up. Um,
Are
yeah.
you saying I'm that old?
No, you're probably not. I don't know
Can
exactly
I
how
do
old
that?
you are, to be honest.
I need to dye the beard a different color again, okay?
So, you're a developer, you work at
Yes.
Microsoft. Where did you come from, and how did you get to where you are today in your career? So, sort of give us a synopsis on what and who you are.
Um, gosh, so hi, my name's Jeff. I'm a Virgo. I like long walks on the beach. Um, so gosh, when I grew up, I was always interested in computers, right? Like so many of us in this industry, you grew up with some sort of an interest. You played a lot of video games, right? And that was your onset, your entree into computing was, oh my gosh, check out the Atari 2600, Nintendo Entertainment System. Look at the cool things that they've done here, and my dad brought home a Commodore 64, and like so many of us, I got hooked programming in BASIC, programming with Logo. I remember pushing the little turtle around. I got so into Logo, my right, and working with the turtle, right? Who else had chat room? Who else had a Commodore 64? Here's the thing. They they built the Commodore 64 like 5 minutes from my home here in Pennsylvania. Like the fact they built a computer in Pennsylvania outside Philadelphia. Who knew? But there it was, and now QVC, if you know QVC here in the States, the home shopping channel, QVC now occupies the facility, the old Commodore facilities, just outside Pennsylvania, outside Philadelphia. Anyways, so I had a Commodore 64. I got so into programming, the little turtle, pushing that around, that when I was in elementary school and they were teaching us logo class, because I had done so much at home and worked so far ahead on things, they said, "Can you help that class over there with the teacher who doesn't really know this? Help the kids there learn logo." So I turned almost into a faux teacher in 4th grade, teaching about logo and the turtle and basic commands in computing. And I stepped away from computing for good 10, 15 years. Like it wasn't until college and I got my first PC, right? My first Pentium machine, and a P90, right? Oh my gosh. I was the king of the dorm because I had a P90 with 8 mega RAM and Sound Blaster 16, and right, I could play Descent like it was nobody's business.
Descent. Blast from the
Right?
past, I tell you. Wow.
So um but and I was one of those folks. They hear a little bit of echo. Look at that. I was one of those folks in um and is that me? It might be me feeding
No,
back to you. No.
it could be me.
So I was one of those folks in college because they had Ethernet drops, right? You had 10 100 Ethernet coming into the dorm rooms. I didn't wanna live in town. I wanted to live in the dorm so that I had broadband wasn't out in town. You had to dial in on the 56K modem if you wanted internet access to dial into the university. No. I stayed on campus and I had Ethernet. I had 10 100 Ethernet coming into my dorm room. A college kid with 10 100 Ethernet is a wonderful thing in the '90s.
Dangerous?
Um, so I learned VB4 when I was in college. I was an Oracle database administrator for Penn State for a year. Let me tell you, yeah, put that on the old resume. I was an Oracle DBA, because I knew how to run database. Right, that was kind of a thing, and I had Visual Basic. I knew that, so I graduated, and it was right at the end of Y2K. So I helped do some Y2K consulting, and right, I learned the consulting mindset of teaching folks to get myself out of a job, right, and that always feels weird for us as developers, right? You're trying to finish a project to effectively work yourself out of a job so that they don't need you building that project anymore, right? Or building the next thing. Look at that. Hugo's telling me that that's a strike for me being an Oracle DBA. Haven't touched Oracle since, Hugo. All right. Um, so I learned how to teach people, and the dot-com boom struck, and so I went to work for a couple of dot-com companies. The first one I went to work for, we were doing VB6 with classic ASP, and because I was the senior developer, I was the lead guy on the team, I was trying to cranking through stuff as fast as possible to get the website running. I learned how to build and think through those things faster and learn things as quickly as possible as stuff changed on the web. So XML HTTP became a thing for me very, very quickly, right? And doing AJAX requests was huge. And XSLT, right? Oh my gosh, who remembers XSLT?
Oh, I've
Um,
spent many of an hour doing
right?
XSLT and XML translations into PDF using FOP.
Yes, yes. We were a financial company, so we were trying to use FOP to generate proposals, to build PDFs coming out the other side without having to pay for any software. So what was really cool was I took all of that I learned from my first .com, went to the next .com. Actually, no, I went to a pharmaceutical company, established enterprise pharmaceutical company. Hated my time there because all they wanted was data extracts and transforms. I just take data out of this database over here and send it to over there. And they didn't want to pay for SQL DTS or any type of ETL tool. No extract, transform, or load tools. They're like, just write another VB6 app. I'm like, you're kidding. They're like, yeah, we get paid every time you write a VB6 app here to do this. I'm like, that's a waste of my time to write the same app again and again and again. So I wrote one app and I wrote a configuration file to it so that I could run that app, just give it a different configuration file. I literally wrote my own ETL, Andy, and so that it would just run on a machine in the corner of my cube, and I just gave it a different configuration file for each one of these. And they kept coming back to me saying, "Wait a sec, it was supposed to take you about 3 weeks to write this extract process, and it took you about 2 hours. What are we supposed to do? We're supposed to be charging for the rest of those 3 weeks time for you to be building that thing. Instead, it only took you 2 hours." I said, "Well, I don't care how you build them. Go ahead and build them for the 3 weeks, build them for the 2 weeks. Now you've got me billable to work on the next project." They're like, "No, you don't understand. That's not how this works." I said, "Well, you don't understand. I just saved you how much time and money because now we can do something else." And it didn't get through their head. So I kind of left there frustrated. The next .com I went to, building now with just .net, right? Now is my entree into C Sharp, and the nickname started coming because I was doing C Sharp with ASP.NET Web Forms, and I was on the bleeding edge. How can we do all the greatest, latest things with C Sharp and ASP.NET?
So
ASP.NET 2 is here.
did you go straight into C Sharp with .NET 1, or did you
I
carry on
skipped
with
to
the VB a bit?
I went into C Sharp with .NET 1.1. So I was actually doing VB with .NET 1. I did VB.NET with .NET 1.
Hmm.
Saw the difference when I was in my training program learning VB.NET. Saw the difference between VB.NET and C Sharp, and tried doing a little bit of both with .NET 1, which was weird because it wasn't compatible. You only had either a VB application or you had a C Sharp application. So I had one or
Hmm.
the other. And I did a little bit of both to kind of experiment and figure out which one feels better. And C Sharp just felt better to me, even though I was a VB6 person for the past 5 years or so.
Hmm.
And so I turned over and said, well, let's keep doing C Sharp. The .com I went to after that, now I'll name drop them. They're called Frontline Technologies. We built automated substitute teacher placement using C Sharp and web forms. And right, this was my first real introduction to doing distributed computing, big scale applications. It was a little company. There were only I was employee number 21, and we literally had about a quarter of the United States, the schools in the United States using our system. So it was like the biggest web application that was being managed in the region and in the Philadelphia region at the time. And it quickly, within the 3 4 years that I was there, grew to be one of the biggest managed in the East Coast of the United States because it had like 1 in 3 teachers in the United States used our system to do job scheduling. Oh, I'm going to be out sick today. Go find somebody to fill that. And that was the application. It was effectively, hey, I'm not available. Go hire somebody else. But I got I in my time there, I spent a lot of time enjoying teaching interns and getting them excited about the new technology. So I started speaking at the local user group, Philadelphia.net, Philly.net, we call it here. And I spoke once or twice there and I got the speaking buzz, right? And I think we all kind of know the speaking buzz, right? You give that talk and you walk off stage and there's that adrenaline where it's like, oh my gosh, right? Like people heard me, they understood what I was talking about and they really enjoyed it. So I got to go to Tech Ed 2008, Tech Ed 2010, and at 2010, I had been speaking at the local user group, a couple of them in the region, not far, maybe a hour drive away. And I met Richard Campbell there, right? The host of .NET Rocks.
Yes.
And we spent an hour talking about barbecue. Not talking about code, just barbecue. Smoking, cooking meat out over fire. It's a good time, right? And he's like, you know, good talking to you, and remembered me. 2012, I had been speaking more and more. I spoke at code camps. I was really getting that speaking vibe, right? And they did a thing at that time called Speaker Idol, right? You might have seen this. You might remember this. And at Tech Ed, during lunch, they would have four people, four community speakers, MVPs, give a presentation, a lightning talk. You've got 5 minutes to give a presentation, and there were judges, a la Pop Idols, American Idol, what have you. And they would judge you and give you feedback, and whoever won the heat for Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday would come back on Thursday along with a wild card. So you had four people on Thursday, and whoever won that final speak off, right, that final competition, would get an invite to be a speaker at Tech Ed. And Tech Ed, 30,000 people attending this event. You would be a speaker the next year. So this is the real deal if you win this. And 2012, I reached out to Richard and I said, hey, remember me? I met you in 2010. Can I speak at Speaker Idol? Absolutely, come on out. And I gave a presentation on, I'm going to show my age here, on Windows 8 WinJS application unit testing. Nobody was doing unit testing for WinJS, right? Think about it. JavaScript unit testing is something we kind of take for granted now. But I wrote a little unit testing framework that would help you unit test your WinJS applications. And there wasn't a single talk about WinJS at Ignite that year, except for me for 5 minutes on stage. And it landed with some folks. They thought it was pretty cool. So I didn't win.
Oh.
I didn't even come in second, right? But two of the folks that were judges were people from Telerik. And they said, you know what, you gave pretty good talk for developer content. Why don't you come work for us as a developer advocate? And now I started really speaking. Now I started really engaging and being forward and thinking more about blog content and speaking at events and recording videos. I got engaged with Pluralsight and put a couple videos on Pluralsight, caught up with a couple folks that were doing different things around the community, doing community organized events and things. And I really got hooked on it. I loved it for the year and a half that I was there. But after a year, I started showing up and being at all these events that Microsoft folks were at. And I'm talking about ASP.NET and web forms, things that, quite frankly, they were trying to move away from and focus on MVC and web API. And hey, you're actually talking, you're talking about some of these things that we don't really want to talk about, and you're doing a better job than our folks. Why don't you come work for us? Okay. Wasn't expecting that at all, and I was offered the job and went and started for Microsoft in 2014, and I'm finishing up my 6th year with Microsoft. I was the program manager for NuGet for a year, but I've been a community manager on the .NET team with input and helping drive. I've been a part of 3 versions of Visual Studio, Andy. Like, who the heck am I? I'm a guy from Philly, and I helped make the world's premier development tool, Visual Studio, for the past 5 years. But it was about 2017. I was speaking at an event here in Philadelphia area called the Poconos, the mountains between Philadelphia and New York. There's a conference out there called Tech Bash.
Hmm.
It's at an indoor water park, and it's in the fall. And our friend Suze Hinton was there. And this was at about a time where I was really frustrated with writing blog posts. I had to write a blog post once every 2 weeks on for the .NET blog, and it was a pain in the neck. Right, chat room. Right, do you get a little writer's burnout? Chat room after when you've been writing a lot of blog posts. Give me an F in the chat room if you get a little bit of burnout writing blog posts. Um, and Sue said, "Well, let me show you. There's this thing I'm doing on Twitch where I write code live." I thought it was the coolest thing, but I really couldn't figure out when I want to. Is that something I really want to do? It's not really on my scorecard of things to do. But a week later, I was in Las Vegas. Richard Campbell, Carl Franklin are there. The .NET Rocks. They do podcasts, and they both at separate times said, "You would do really well if you had a podcast. You've got this down. You hosted a panel here at the conference. It would be tremendous to see you do a podcast." So I took that kind of inspiration and nudge and put it with live coding. Maybe there's something there. And over here in the States, we have Thanksgiving is what we call it, the third or fourth Thursday in November. And it's a long weekend. Folks typically take the whole week off work. So I took time that week and I said, well, let me give this a shot. I went and found all the tools and ran my first stream, and 4 people watched. And I
And that
thought
was
it
at
was,
the end of 2017, did you say?
yeah, November 2017. And I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I'm like, okay, I wrote a little bit of a Visual Studio extension to play music while it's building, right? While your application is building. I thought it was the coolest thing ever that people watched, offer suggestions, and oh my gosh, I got hooked. I'm like, okay,
Hmm.
let's do this again later in the week. So it was like Friday, and we're getting ready to go out, and we're going to be doing Christmas shopping in the afternoon. But that morning, I did another stream, and it was even more fun. And I reached out to my boss, um, a guy named Scott. You might have heard of him. There's how many people named Scott at Microsoft, so you can't go wrong saying, "Yeah, I worked for a guy named Scott." So I was working for Scott, and we um we said there might be something here. Can I experiment with this? I'm going to keep blogging, but let me experiment with this for December and January. Measure what kind of interactions we have, and take a look. Right, and I think that's a great sign of vision and leadership when folks say, "Go ahead and experiment for a little bit, measure it, and let's figure out what next steps are." And about halfway through December, I got a message from a VP saying, um, "Satya saw there's a thing about people who broadcast live on the internet, talking about how their day's going, almost like a live vlog. And we heard you do that. Can we send along your information to the CEO?" I'm like, "Sure." At that point, I was like, "This is it. People are all right. I've got it. If the CEO is saying this is interesting, let's keep doing some of this."
There was just a
Uh,
question in chat from Mary Jo Stabler. Was there science and tech category back then?
no,
No.
yeah, Mary Jo, there wasn't. We were right, Andy. We were
Creative.
creative.
Yeah, because I started 6 months before you did.
Yeah, yeah,
And back then it was one big creative category with its subcategories of music, art, programming, I think was one of them, game development, and a couple of others. And when you went onto the Twitch website and went to creative, it then had the three, like all those 6 big categories at the top with
yeah.
everyone below, including just chatting, I think was in there as well, wasn't it?
No, I don't think just chatting. They called it something else. Was it just chatting? It was something else. And it wasn't JSON.tv like that,
IRL.
JSON.
IRL.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. 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 So, um, right, and we had categories. It wasn't tags. I forget what tags were before.
Oh, there
It
just wasn't any.
it wasn't. It was like but it was labels. It was free text labels that you could key in there.
Yes.
And people had all kinds of things. But yeah, the creative category was absolutely a thing, Mary Jo. And right, because and they didn't call them categories, they were communities. It was the
Hmm.
creative community,
Oh, that's the
and
one.
each
Creative
community
communities.
had its own homepage. So not only did you have the Twitch front page, but you had the creative front page, and all these folks who were creative streamers, folks that were doing various types of art, right? Or sewing, painting, sculpting, uh, uh, and then there was us who were writing code would all appear on that creative homepage. It was so cool and to be a part of a community.
Yes.
And but so I got into January of 2018 and I thought this was really cool because I got offered affiliate. I'm like, all right, let's do this. We've got a thing happening here. And at that point it was I evaluated and said with Scott, hey, if we're going to keep doing this, it's going to be kind of a job thing then. And we don't want to double dip. We don't want to charge customers for watching. If folks want to subscribe, if folks want to cheer, well, let's turn that into something good and let's make that a donation to some organization that could benefit from that. And we turned it around and to this day, all the subs, all the cheers on my channel, we donate to charitable organizations. We pay
Yes.
it forward.
Hmm.
But at the same time, word came down from on high from the sea level folks. We've got this thing over here, Mixer. Why don't you try streaming over there? Like, and there were a couple folks in Twitch chat. They're like, yeah, it'd be really cool because I can get Mixer a little bit faster. And we tried the Mixer experiment for 3 months, dual streaming against the contract, dual streaming. But I was nobody. All right, I had 30 people watching me, but I would dual stream to both Mixer and Twitch for about 3 months. We got into April, and literally my average number of viewers on Mixer was like 4,
Hmm.
5 versus the 30 or 40 I was seeing on Twitch. So I pushed back and said, "Look, Mixer's missing all of these features." I've talked to the Mixer community team and tried to get these features, get them prioritized, talk about what's involved to be a Mixer partner because I work with you, and they turned me down. I'm like, "But we're on the same team." "Nope, sorry, we can't make you a partner." Like, "Okay, I have to leave your platform then." And they said, "That's fine. We're concentrating on games." Kind of,
Let's have a moment of silence there for our fallen brethren.
dun,
um,
dun, 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 dun. Yeah, where's the funeral dirge for our friends at Mixer?
oh,
Can we pull one out for Mixer?
I'm sorry.
So sorry.
It's sad, and it's something where Twitch does not have much competition. Like, has less competition now than it did. I mean, Facebook is pushing hard, but it's not the right interface. YouTube is a completely separate thing. Twitch basically has no competition at all now. Even
Well,
if it did before, it's what
let's come back
next?
to that. Let's come back
Okay.
to that.
So
So,
anyway,
right, so
you're a streamer.
I
You
was a
are
streamer.
you're a streamer.
I've got my boss supporting me. I'm getting things done because I still organize events. I manage the MVP program and I'm feeling good. TwitchCon happens and I meet you for the first time. Connect with the first 6 people that and the idea of live coders really is hatched. I don't think you were at the dinner,
I
but it
wasn't at the dinner, but in the corridor meetups with the water cooler,
yes.
we were all talking about it, and we were all sort of, what's next? What do we do? We're a community. We're all developers, because there was so many people there, like
Yeah.
Suze and No Botanist and
Clark
Eric
EO,
and Clark
Code
was
Rushed.
there. Yep, everyone was there, and it was just a case of, I think it was 3 months, like literally a month or two later, you got partner.
I got partner in February 2019. I applied
I
for
was a bit
partner.
late.
I had qualifications for partner in October.
That's the one. Sorry. Yeah,
So
so you got the qualifications for partner. It took you a
yeah,
little bit to get it.
yeah,
Um,
and
a few extra month.
it was funny with that. So right, it was this dinner we tried to get everybody out to. Eric was there, talked to me, Gooseman, and right, we were like, this would be really cool if we had a team, if we could do a dinner like this and have everybody come together and be able to have a good time, talk and be relaxed as just friends and meet up. And later on in that dinner, Suze said, right, no Opcat said, and all these other folks that have teams, they have this team jersey thing, and it looks so cool. It'd be really neat if we had a team jersey that kind of showed and kind of unified us with the same look and stuff. We're like, yeah, that's kind of a cool idea. And yeah, October, I started hitting the 75 average viewers in a month. And man, is that hard to hit. The first time you hit that, it's like, whoa. And being a .NET developer, folks who do other more popular technologies, it's easy to hit that number, right? Game dev technology, if you push and you grind, you'll get there. Our friend Lana Lux on Little Life Coders, she hit that, and man, she is grinding and writing code. More power to her. She is she really grinds out the work building games on Twitch, and yeah, she built a big audience. But .NET's a little bit more niche. It's an enterprise technology. There's millions of .NET developers out there, but they don't watch Twitch
Yet.
yet. They're
We're
coming
trying.
over. We're getting them over here.
And this is the thing. It's been crazy since then because
Yes.
you got partner,
Yep.
you created the team,
Yep. That was about 3
and
weeks later. Yeah.
and we quickly went from 10, 15, 30, 60, 90,
Yeah.
160 members
Yeah.
in a
Can you believe it?
year and 4 months ish. A year
Ish.
and a few.
Yeah.
Yeah. Call it 16 months.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We've like, the numbers are 160, and it's crazy, and it's moving forward, and we've got so many brains on the team
Mm.
that are epically smart, and sometimes you think, should I actually be in there, and all this sort of stuff. So we've got, but everyone deserves to be on this team because they are pushing that the ethos that you created, or the team, the few at the start created.
Yeah.
And it was including everyone. Everyone's a coder. Everyone's a live coder.
It's that first group of 6, they were easily, right, the first people that we brought in, that I sent out invites to. Hey, in fact, I still have the channel, the voice channel in my Discord, where right, we pulled folks together and said, all right, who's in this first group? Right? Who are the first 10? And it was easily, well, here's the 6 people that were at that dinner. Lucky number 11, we got to bring him in, and the other folks that we met at TwitchCon in San Jose at the time. And what's it mean? What's it mean to be a live coder? We want to bring in folks who are what? And that's where some of these ideas that have stuck with our membership. We want to be outgoing. We want to be have some education focus, right? Not just you're writing code, but you're engaged in talking to chat, right? And I see the comments there in chat. I want to come back over there and comment on some of them in a second. And we want to make sure that folks were going to be around on the platform. And it led to some of those initial criteria, but it was very much anybody who's on the platform streaming about tech. Let's open the tent. Let's get those folks that are really good at this collaborating. And we had the idea for the Discord. Let's have a private Discord so that just like we had that dinner where we could unwind, talk to each other, and help each other get better at streaming. Let's have that space where we're offline and people can't see what we're talking about, so that you do have that relaxed nature of, yeah, you know what? I'm going to talk in the Unity chat room here on the Discord server about how bad I am at Unity. And you know what? There's people there that are experts because they do this and they make real games. We have a person in our Unity chat room that hangs out who made the HoloLens. Not just worked on it. No, made it. Was on the team, right? We have somebody who works for a major game studio. You've played their games before. They're hanging out in our Discord. We've got people who work on the .NET compilers, people who work on the base class library. They're hanging out in our Discord. Yeah.
Sorry, everyone. I had to do that one. We've got somebody on the Alexa team as well.
Yes. Yes. So right? There's something about, not only do we bring together folks that are streamers, but these are folks that are streamers that are going to give the other streamers access to be able to collaborate and get better with their tools and technologies. I'm on the Visual Studio team. You have a Visual Studio problem? Visual Studio Code, Brian Clark is here. He can get you to those people. Phenomenal. So yeah, we also have those very open other communities that we manage in our Discords to outreach and do those things. But there's that super community of the streamers talking to each other in a place where they, right? And gosh, Andy, we've used this term particularly at TwitchCon in 2019. We don't want to be on. You want to be off camera.
Yeah.
You want to be, I want to be Jeff for a little bit. I don't want to be CSharpFritz, but I want to be Jeff. And it's that relax and okay, we don't have to worry about engaging with folks. So
we do about a bit of viewer bashing here and there. I am joking.
So
mainly,
I mean,
mainly.
right. Oh my gosh. So when we had that first meetup in TwitchCon 2019 in
San Diego.
Oh my gosh. So can I tell that story, or should we talk to the chat room for a second?
Talk to chat for a sec. I think we had you spotted a few questions.
But... Yeah. So I'm just going to scroll down here. Error Nate says, I joined Twitch because of CSharpFritz. Thank you so much for that. I really that is one of the highest compliments that you can pay me, that you joined the community. Hugo Dahl joined because of Jeff, stayed for the community. Seriously, that is awesome. Lily Hazel is here. Oh my gosh, seriously. One of the best friends that I've made on Twitch over the last 6 months. Lily Hazel is amazing. I talk to her a couple times a week. Really great people. So thrilled to have her as part of our community, helping manage a little bit of the live coders. Musical Bookworm, a lot of it is marketing. Stumbled across CSharpFritz by accident when some developer I followed on Twitter tweeted about one of his streams. See that? You got to get message outside of the Twitch so that folks find you. It would help if companies would use their official social media channels to support their live streamers. Here's the thing. Because of Mixer, and because I work on a product team, you won't see them really out there promoting me. And that's actually on purpose, right? If I wanted to reach a bunch of Microsoft customers, if I wanted to get out there and talk to people who were diehard .NET and Visual Studio folks, I would be on YouTube. That's where those folks hang out. That's where those folks catch video. And many of the enterprises in places where they work, they block Twitch. So being on Twitch is actually a little bit more strategic for me, because that's where Microsoft customers typically aren't. So it also works out nicely for Twitch, because I'm bringing in some of those Microsoft customers to their platform and expanding their viewer base, and I'm reaching new folks. So it kind of works out nicely like that. Sudoku, oh my gosh, Sarah, great to see you. She's a tremendous member of our community, and I think we can. I think there's a live coder waiting to happen there. Amazon folks, absolutely.
We haven't got any Googlers yet. We haven't got any Googlers.
Actually, we do. Francesca's on the team. Francesca, I forget her last name because she was doing a lot of Node.js development and going through some of the interview questions that you would typically see with Node.js. She's been on the team since maybe month 2 or 3. And she hasn't really streamed much in the last year. So that's
probably why I haven't recognized that.
So there's a couple folks like that, but we don't have I don't think we have many other Googlers. We don't have anybody from Facebook on the team. A couple folks from Amazon. We now have our first Twitch staff member on the team.
Second.
Full timer.
Okay, fair enough.
Juicebox Hero is part of the team. We have a bunch of folks from Twilio. Yes. Twilio actually started live coding before I think any of us did.
Yes, they
but
did.
they didn't they didn't see the value in it, so they stepped away for a couple years, and we started streaming, and it was taking off, and they jumped back in, and now we've got 4 or 5 now members of Twilio that are
And
on the team.
champions as well. And champions. We've got
And
two
Twilio
new
champions,
champions.
yes, yes. And a bunch of Microsoft MVPs on the team. So, a couple folks that work on Azure, a couple folks that work on, like I said, work on .NET, right? Really great stuff.
Okay, so time is moving on and very
Is it?
quickly. It is.
No. Come on. Oh my gosh. It's almost been an hour already.
Yeah. So there's one last thing before I want to get onto sort of outside of streaming and Twitch and development.
Yep.
The Live Coders Conference.
Yeah.
The 2 of them that we've done.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So we're getting better at them. We are sort of improving. We are getting people actually asking us how to do stuff.
Yes.
What has been your sort of moment, and how do you feel about it? And it was so LCC1 came around because COVID.
Yeah. Absolutely.
LCC2 was just planned, and then we had to make that U-turn to amplify because everything that's happened in the past 3 weeks with
The world's been a crazy place.
Black Lives Matter, and it was such an important thing to sort of try and pivot. And we had that massive platform of 10 hours of front page, and just being able to have people like Liz and Aaron and the whole the people that are on our team, and be able to do their talks, and just it's been amazing. So hopefully the next one we plan doesn't have some major incident around it.
So when I think about the whole process, right? The first one was really, hey, can we do something with this? And literally 20 people jumped into a chat room, right? Not a voice chat, but a text chat. And we're like, oh my gosh, and we could do this, and we could do that, and we could talk about that, and we could do this. And it didn't even hit us that we could be on the front page for it was 4 weeks. That's right, Lily Hazel. It was 4 weeks for us to go from
March
idea
to the 9th of April.
Yeah. And we had people who were going to be speaking at various conferences, and we had content and nowhere to present it. And we said, you know what? Well, let's pull it together, right? We've got, a dozen or so people here. Here, you each get 45 minutes, go give your talk. And I mean, we didn't even think about content planning. It was just, hey, do you have a talk? And we had 30 talks submitted, and we picked 12 of them to present. And we said, well, we know how to stream. So what if we just have people, I forget, we had people connect in with OBS, right? Stream into a box, a RTMP box that was right next to an OBS machine, both in the cloud, and broadcast that.
Yeah.
And we had talked to, we do the Live Coders, we have private discussions. We invite in various folks from the community to talk to the team, have a discussion so that team members can ask questions and meet them. And I've been able to bring Scott Hanselman in, and Richard Campbell, Dee Dee Walsh, and has been in to speak to the group. So, and we had the Twitch guys. We had John Bulava and Matt Auerbach talk, and we're talking about it. They were right as we came to the idea of Live Coders Conf, and we said to John and Matt, hey, would it be cool if we could put this on the homepage? I forget whose idea it was. I don't know if it was yours.
It was Matt's, I think.
Well, okay. And it was Matt's. That's right.
Yeah.
And they said, well, let us submit the application. And it came back like a week later, and they said, sure, we're going to put you on for 4 hours. We're like,
it was 10 in the end.
For the first one?
It was half of the conference, and it was the conference was 18 hours nearly.
Yeah. And so my moment where I knew this was a thing, right, was we had a couple hundred people watching before we went on homepage. I mean, we had a couple hundred people watching, and if you're giving a meetup, if you're giving a user group presentation, and you've got 100 people there, 100 people, that's pretty good. If you're at a conference, and not a big conference, not an AWS reInvent or Microsoft Build or Microsoft Ignite or an O'Reilly event, right? If you're at a regular third-party conference, an NDC type of conference, and you've got a couple hundred people in the room, that's pretty good. And we had a couple hundred people in the room for, what, a good hour or 2, and then we hit homepage. And we didn't just hit homepage, we hit featured on the homepage, right? That means you're in the middle when people navigate to Twitch, right? And that counter went up 5,000, 8,000, 10,000, 12,000, 15,000 people watching. I'm like, holy crow, I can't believe it. Wow. Knowing that even though they might actually not be watching the event, like watching for minutes on end, being compelled to watch, but knowing that we had that kind of reach, that we introduced science and technology, that we introduced live coding to that many people, right? As part of LCC1 made me kind of click on, okay, we've got something here. And we had right, and to your credit, Andy, we had some amazing tech behind the scenes that your team led up to really make this thing go. And then we helped with Dev Around the Sun, and they raised like $50,000
Hmm.
for I forget if it was Doctors Without Borders.
It was COVID again, wasn't it?
It was
I
another
believe.
COVID related charity, and that was amazing. We said, well, right, we were already planning, well, we got to do live coders too, and we had planned from April, hey, we're going to do this June 20th, and things happened in May, and we did, a couple of us did Microsoft Build, and we did Twitch streams for Microsoft Build, but we did it without an editor. We didn't have anybody actually running the OBS box. We had a script that would just pivot back and forth between the different feeds, and that's something that we found really interesting. But we landed on Live Coders Conf 2. We tried a Saturday. We thought we had front page for the whole time. Didn't work out quite the same way, but we had amazing content for that entire day.
Hmm.
So I was thrilled with it. I thought it was a great amount of content. Our average viewers were higher, but we didn't hit as high a max. We didn't have as sustained a viewership.
I think the average was so the average for the first one was just about 3,500.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
average for this was
couple
just
hundred.
about 1,000.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, but it was more consistent throughout the whole stream.
yeah,
There wasn't a massive 15,000 person peak. Um, and when you look at this, I mean, we've got all the stats, but it's when you look down at the first conference and you get 3.2 million minutes watched, and that's between everyone watching the whole stream,
yeah.
and that's crazy numbers. That's
It
six
is.
years of video that people have just watched,
There
and
so I actually took that number, right, and put it with ratings for, like, TV, like regular TV. Here in the States, we have it's a minor network called CW that
mhm.
you'll see, right, The Flash and Green Arrow and all of those, cool DC superhero TV shows are on. And at the end of January, before pandemic hit, their average viewership for, I think it was the Green Arrow show, was their top viewed show, was 650,000 viewers. And our total viewership for LCC1 was 750
For 17 hours.
for 17 hours.
Yeah, but still, it was one hell of a conference. That
For
is
a
one.
right, for a tech event, one day, one track, we had more viewers than the CW. That's pretty big. Now, it wasn't the total view time wasn't, clearly we didn't have the total view time, but it was huge,
Yes.
huge. And,
Oh,
and it
it's massive, and it's a massive leap for sort of the tech
yeah,
community.
yeah. Can I go to Hugo's question here?
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Hugo asks, how much did your adoption and promotion of the media, of the live streaming media, have to do with ASP.NET Weekly Stand Up coming to Twitch and virtual build this year? How you doing? Yes. The ASP.NET community stand up. So they've been running that show for almost 6 years now. But that was just a thing. They said, hey, let's start a Google Hangout and let people tune in and hear us talk about what's happening with .NET Core, right? This new version of .NET that the engineers at Microsoft were building that was completely open source. Well, if this is open source, people should be able to tune in and hear us talk about it. And they were just outputting it to YouTube, and they had 50, 60 people watch once a week on Tuesdays as they were showing off what was going on. Well, I gave them a nudge and said, "Well, how about you try it over here on Twitch where we can be more interactive?" And they started broadcasting to both YouTube and Twitch. And now we have the Visual Studio channel that I manage over there. Build, Microsoft Build, they had a couple different technologies they were looking at broadcasting with for the full event, and they ran 7 tracks concurrently for that. And they ran their own um, they ran their own service to deliver that. I want to make sure that I speak properly about how that kicked off. But I had been saying since Microsoft Build 2019, hey, I'd like to. We have podcast booths here at the IRL event where folks are recording podcasts. What if we brought in live streamers and we're writing code with some of the folks that bring in some of the folks just as they come off stage? Hey, you taught us about Power BI. Well, hey, come on in. We're going to be building a project all week long. Teach us how to add Power BI into our project. And okay, here's the next session that finished, that had something to do with the project we're doing. And you talked about Azure functions, serverless computing. Hey, why don't you help us add serverless functions into the project? And we're live coding it with folks over Twitch, and we've got the folks literally we're able to relate. Here's what you saw as build, and here it is implemented as part of the big project. So I called it Build at Build, and I pitched this for Build 2019, and we don't have the budget for that. We don't have the resources, and that's never going to work. So I pitched it again for Ignite 2019, and we had a set, we had a studio, we had cameras, we had a sound engineer, we had a tech director, and it was going to cost $2 million to produce. And they looked at that and said, "Are you crazy? We can't afford that for something that hasn't been proven yet." And it was cut. Okay. So we came into Build and we said, "Can we experiment and let's try? We've got all these folks at home. Everybody's already broadcasting at home. We've already got all these folks at home. Can we try broadcasting from home and just tie it together and do the interview show, highlighting some of the things to go a little bit deeper on Build?" So we did virtual Build on Twitch for 48 hours straight because we've got folks all around the world. And it worked out. It worked out really well. So now we're in talks about, well, what does Twitch at Ignite look like? So we're talking about what that might be and what could happen with that. But I'm really excited that we proved out our experiment. The experiment of let's stream to Twitch. It worked. And now we're experimenting with how can we bring more to Twitch? And
Exactly.
it's happened.
It's that reach. It's that reach. I mean, there's people here.
Yeah.
And if you get that visual, so even on the front page, if you get that visual look and somebody goes, "Hang on, he's talking about what?" Click on it.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's those click throughs that we like, and it's one of those things that we love doing. So, rounding up, we might get a couple more questions from the audience at the moment, including apparently there's gravity in Unity.
Yes, there is.
Yes, there is.
So, should I explain that?
We will do it. Well, I'll try and find the clip and actually play it.
Okay, it's one of the last 4 or 5 tweets that I have on Twitter. You can find it linked there.
Thank you very much. Anyway, no. So outside coding, outside of everything else.
Yep.
Do you have a hobby?
So it's not so much my hobby, but I'm the dad brought along for the ride. I have 3 horses. They're kept at a stable it's actually that way. About 5 miles down the road, right? I live in the suburbs outside of Philadelphia, and I have horses that I keep over there. My wife and daughters ride frequently. They're accomplished riders. I'm proud to say my daughters have won blue ribbons jumping in various equestrian shows. Not horse racing, but equestrian jumping and show horse riding. So supporting them and helping with with that, right? That's something folks really find interesting is, wait a sec, you do all this high tech stuff, and then you go and you do horse things on the weekends. Yes, I do. Yes. So I mean, that's kind of become supporting them and helping them with that has become a bit of an interest for me over the past few years. And what's been fun about that is um, at these horse shows, of course, they need somebody to introduce. Here comes whoever into the ring, and here's the results from the judges and that type of thing. Well, I, I have a little bit of a voice, and they recruited me to be the in-arena announcer. So for the last 2 or 3 years, I've been the in-arena announcer for the local farms here when they have their horse shows. So that's been fun. Oh, there's the clip. Okay.
It's ready. It's ready to
Okay.
go. How did you know?
I'm there it is.
There it is.
So oh my gosh, and then there's our friend Fierce Kitten. So I've been right. This is June. This is Pride Month, and I've been wanting to learn Unity, the game development engine that's available for .NET folks. So it kind of made sense to take Unity and June and put them together and say, well, let's do Junity, and we could right. And it also sounds a bit Pride because this is Pride Month. So let's support some of the LGBT folks out there, and we're supporting the Trevor Project this month on my channel. But we'll call it Junity. And I've been slowly learning Unity on stream, right? So 3D modeling and hooking up C# to it. And I've been trying to build a very simple pinball machine. And right, because I can do the programming. I know the C#, but the 3D modeling and the physics and that is something that I'm not accustomed to. They don't have physics on web pages. Who knew? But so I'm building the pinball machine. I've got basic objects there. My colleague Abdullah, who specializes in Unity development, said to me, "Don't go in crazy about modeling. Just put basic squares and cylinders and things out there." I said, "Okay, that makes sense." So I created a cylinder for the plunger that you pull back on the pinball machine, and I went to pull back the cylinder to test it because I had just written the code to have it snap back, and our friend, one of our recent teammates, Krasenstein, gave me some code and was talking me through it. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is great. Thank you so much for your help. So I went and I pulled back the plunger, and it fell out of the machine. Not only did it fall out, it just kept falling. Oops. Like, I forgot to turn off gravity for the plunger. Like, it doesn't need to observe gravity. Okay. So yeah, that's the clip of.
I'm just gonna play that clip. Give me a second.
To make sure we were at 6.5 degrees. Yeah, see, there it is. Now if I pull back.
What's that?
That didn't work right. I am so sorry, friends.
Oh my.
That's just dumb. Oops.
Yeah. And no, I agree. It's like also when I did a bit of Unity back a couple of years ago, Krasenstein was also a big help on one of my streams when I just went, I'm just going to try some Unity for a laugh.
Sure.
And yeah, no, great help. And I think that's the point of having resources like that on the team, because you can.
Oh my gosh!
It's like, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
So, any
little bit of
thoughts?
echo.
Oh, hang on, give me a second. That will be me. There you go. Sorry about that, folks.
There we go. All right.
So,
yes.
Final thoughts.
So, I'm whiskey. No, we're not going to talk about whiskey. Listen, I'm absolutely thrilled with this platform, right? And I'm talking about the live video platform. Twitch as a service has been a tremendous steward for us. I'm thrilled with what we're able to accomplish, the folks we're able to reach, the community that we've been able to build. As we saw this week, platforms come and go. I hope Twitch is around for a while. I really enjoy using this platform, but I think we've got a tremendous community here that would go if we went somewhere else. If we decided we've got to move the live coders to another platform, I think we're fine. I think we'd be in great shape. I think it really says something about the tone of people in this community, the character of the people in our science and technology community, because when we're streaming and we're answering questions and we're talking to chat room like Sana there, hey Sana, good to see you. We're giving away education for free. Nobody's charging you for this. Nobody's saying there's no gatekeeper saying, "Oh, you can't. You're not allowed to tune in and watch this." A lot of us are very AMA. Ask me anything. I'm happy to answer. Happy to walk you through. And you know what? We're going to do giveaways, and you might win an Amazon gift card. You might win a book to help you learn more. You might get a Pluralsight gift card. We're going to help folks improve. And right when I see people say, hey, I tuned into Twitch and discovered this community, that is one of the highest compliments that I think folks in our community can receive, second only to I tuned in and I watched and I learned something and I went and explored that thing a little bit and it made me a better developer and I got promoted. Or I found development through some of the cool things that you were doing. I thought it was really neat to watch you write JavaScript, to write web pages, to build a game. And I went and took a course, and now I've got my first job. And it's changed my life. I now make X thousand dollars, pounds, euros more than I did previously. I'm able to buy a bigger house because I've advanced my learning, my career. When I hear that, it really that like changes my perspective on everything. People like the bald bearded builder.
Welcome, Michael Jolly. How are you doing? We are actually running late. You've
Late?
actually just caught the end of the stream.
We're not late.
We're late.
My
No,
watch
we're
says
not.
we got another hour. Here we go with the BBB rate. Oh wow.
Well, mine's just disappeared as well.
So it's hearing folks say that it changed my life, and my gosh, Michael Jolly, the bald bearded builder, he's another great example of somebody who got into live streaming and it took off for them, and it found a new career because of it. Tremendous to see that with folks, and it means so much. Layla Codes it, somebody who changed and got into developer advocacy, phenomenal, and now she live streams on the Live Coders team. It's so cool to see.
Yes, and I mean, from where it was 3 years ago, and there were developers. There was people like Kratz. There was people like Windy Beard Games, and there was people like myself.
And made Hero.
Handmade Hero, and
Fierce Kittens. Yeah, there's one that she was live coding for a while before us.
Yes, and also somebody who's completely not on the team is somewhere else in the world, Zeke Death. Now he's an Australian. He's been a partner for years.
Okay.
And he's the one that got me into streaming development.
Nice. Okay. Code Phobia. There's one.
Yeah. And it's like all these people on Twitch that were around and they were in their little sort of corner of Twitch. They were still in what's it called? They were still in the creative section, still in the programming. And over those 3 years, it's grown. And I mean, we say 160 developers are in the Live Coders team. We have not got everyone.
No. And I think that's something that is important, is that the Live Coders isn't going to be everybody. We aren't the new programming tag. It's not.
No.
But it is people who are committed to growing the genre, in giving folks education, answering, talking to people, and writing code, writing fun things, and we're going to be around. We're going to be streaming for some time. Somebody had glitter on their beard.
Oh, Michael's doing his
Mr.
glitter
John?
beard.
Can we change his handle to Glitter Bearded Builder? Is that a thing? Maybe.
I need to see pictures of this.
Yes. Oh boy. Is that now appearing over in Team Discord? It'd be amazing. The early adopter of Glitter Beard.
I've turned off Discord.
Oh.
Things.
Okay.
Things. Right.
Oh my
Fritz,
goodness.
it's been a pleasure talking to you.
Always great to talk to you, Andy.
Yes, and I will not, as I've said to every other person on that I've done an interview for, I will not be getting you back on again for a long, long time.
That's
because
fine.
There's plenty of members to go through.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Can't wait to see who else we get to meet here on the show.
Okay, thank you very much. And on that note, thank you very much, everyone. I have been Lucky Number 7, and that was CSharpFritz. Before I just got rid of him. They can't actually, which is a good thing. I'm leaving the room. Right. So thank you everyone for that. That was amazing. I will see you again probably next week. I'm actually going to try and get somebody else, and we're trying to do it weekly from now on. But on that note, thank you very much. Let's go and raid somebody. I will just try and quickly find somebody. If anyone's got any choices in chat, speak up now or forever hold your peace. And oh, come on. Wrong. Oh, Callow Creations on. Right, done. If I can spell it right. Let's see if I can. Yes! Spelled correctly the first time. Right, everyone. Let's get ready to say hi. And bye for now.